So today we are still going to talk about elements. So elements. Now elements are divided into two. We have the block level elements and we have the inline elements. So let me open let's start with our HTML frame. So now what is a block level element? And how do you know a block level element? So let me use the H1 to describe it. So the H1, so a block level element always starts on a new line, or a block level element always stretch from this beginning of your browser to the end. So, and also it always comes with this top and bottom margin. So the block level elements are more easily to be styled. So now let me bring you a block. Let me, for example, this H1, my heading. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to say style, and I'm going to say H1 curly braces, and so I'm going to apply a background color to it. Refresh. This is what I get. So you notice that the thing starts from the beginning and it stretches to the end. So if you notice there is a top and bottom. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this one. When I duplicate it, let me duplicate it twice. So if you notice, you can see the top and bottom space, and you find out the element did not even continue. All the old elements always starts on a new line and it stretches from the start to the end. Now we also have the inline element is kind of an opposite of the block level element. It does not start on a new line, it continues from where the other one stops, and it does not come with this top and bottom spaces, which also render it difficult for you to style. Most style cannot be applied to the inline elements, such as the width and the height. So one of the inline element we have is a anchor tag. So I'm going to let me put the hashtag, so we put a description. So I'm just going to use the love m. So let's say love m5 to generate text. Love m5. So enter. So let me call it up here and style it. So anchor tag curly braces. So I'm going to give it a background color, and I'm going to add it red. Refresh. So I think so I'm going to duplicate this one, just like I just duplicated the block level element. So watch what happens. You see that the inline element does not start on the new line. It does not even come with this stretch out and space, this margin. So that is the difference between the block level and the inline element. The inline element will always continue from where the other one stops, and whenever you try to apply the width, so watch what I'll do. I'm going to go to the H1 and I'm going to give it width, and let's say 50%. So watch, you find out that all of them cut. But let's try to apply style, the height. Okay, let's also apply the height to the height. So I'm going to give it a height of, let's say, 200 px. Let's see. You see what happens here? I think this 200 is too big. I'm going to reduce it to 100. So you see what happened? The moment I applied the style, it just worked. But let's just say apply the same thing to the inline element. Let's try applying the width. So I'm going to give it a width. Since all of them is short, or let me give it width 70%, and let me give it the height 100. 100 px. Sorry, 100 px. So when I refresh, you see no effect. So for the inline element, the height and width and probably some other styles does not apply to it. So we have the address, article, aside, blog post, canvas, data description, and so many more. All these stuff are all these elements are all part of the block level elements. And for the inline element, we have the anchor tag, the abbreviation, acronym, bold, bi-directional, override, big, and so many more of them. All this falls into the category element of the inline element. So for the block level element, we have a specific element, the div. The div plays a unique role in your web development. The div is just like, it's a container that contains other code. It's a block level element. It's a container that contains other code. So now I'm going to then why do we use the div? Sometimes the div can be used to arrange your code, and also it gives you easy access for you to be able to style a block of code. So now for instance, what I have is a h1 and a p tag. So instead of this p tag, I have the lorem 150. So going to press enter to break the code. So refresh. So I'm going to go to the top. So I'm going to comment on all the style that I've already applied on this. So comment on this. So also comment on this one. Now if I want to apply style to this whole box, this whole code, you find out that I will have to be styling them one by one. But what if I tell you that all I just need to do is call that div? So with that div, with the div curly braces, I can apply my, so let's say I'm going to apply background color to all of them. So let's say background color blue violet. So refresh. So I'm going to come here and say div, Ctrl X to cut this and wrap the V. So when I refresh, you find out that the whole text is being styled. So with the div will give you privilege for you to be able to group your elements and style them at once. So I can be able to even give this a width. So let's say a width of 40%. Find out that it just group everything. I can be able to move it around using the margin. So using the margin, I can move this to the center using the auto. Can even use the number to move it around if you choose to. So but we also have another element called the span tag. So the span also used is an inline element. It also works as just like the div. It works as a container that contains other code. But the difference is that now we can have the span tag inside of our div. We can have it inside of the div, but we cannot have the div inside of the span tag. So okay, let's say I want to give this particular text color, or probably let's say this I want it to have a specific color. So I can just wrap it with the span tag. So span, so with the span I can come up to the top and apply the style. So span curly braces. So let me change the color of the text itself. So I will say color, let's say red. So refresh. You see that the particular text is shining that red. So with the span tag, you can be able to style group of text. Or so let's try to create an exercise. So most of you have seen the Google logo. So we can use the span tag and the div to style something like this. So how do we do that? So going back to what we already have, I'm going to write it above creating the Google logo. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of all what I have here because I don't really need them again. So get rid of the styles that I already have, and refresh. So creating the Google logo. So I'm going to wrap all of them with a div. So div. So I think probably this is not even necessary. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to it's not necessary to wrap it with the div, so but let's just leave it this way. So the div, I'm going to call the h1 so that the text will come out bold. So I'm going to say Google. To make this Google to be as colorful as the original one, I'm going to wrap each and every one of the words with the span tag. But first of all, let's change the color of the whole text. So looking at the Google, you find that the two texts are already shining blue, or some two texts are already shining red. So I'm going to go with the blue. So I'm going to say I want my h1 to have a color, the color blue. So refresh. This is it. So, and also I want the font size to increase. So font size. So I want the font size to increase by, let's try 50 px and see what it's going to look like. So 50, I can make it 60 px. So I'm going to center it. So call the div, like I said, since we're already using the div, it's not necessary, but I'm just going to use it. So curly braces. So I'm going to give it a particular, I'm going to give it width. So width, so I'm going to give it width 30%. So I'm going to move it to the center, margin auto. So margin auto. So I don't want to go on styling it, moving it to the particular part, but here I think this part is okay. So you can even increase the size if you feel like the size is not as big as you want it to be, the font size. So let me bring it here. So now let's try to start the individual text. So I'm going to wrap the first G. Look at the first G is already blue. The first G is already blue. I'm going to wrap the second one, which is red, with the span tag. So I'm going to give a space. So I'm going to write my span tag. So all I need is span tag. So I'm going to Ctrl X and Ctrl V. So get rid of the space. Get rid of this space also. So I'm also going to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come inside of this place. I'm going to say style and color. What color is it? I think it's red. So I'm going to go again to the next one, which is already orange or something. So I'm going to wrap that one also with the span tag also again, span. So I'm going to Ctrl X, cut it, and I'm going to paste it around it. Ctrl V. So close the 0. So for the G is blue. So now for this O that is already orange or whatever color it is, I'm going to give it color style, color, let's use the orange. So the orange, refresh. So why did it go down? Okay, so I think the width that I applied to it is what pulled it down. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'll make this 40 or 50% so it goes up. So now I'm going to, so let's go back, continue. So it remains, the G is already blue, so I'm going to get rid of this space, put the space here. So I'm going to bring in my span tag again, span, and get rid of this space, and I'm going to wrap the L, which is green. So wrap the L, which is green. Alright, yeah, which is green. So I'm going to wrap it, and I'm going to say style, color, green. So the last one is just, when I refresh, this is it. So the last one is same as the second 0, which is red. So I'm just going to wrap it with the span tag, span, Ctrl X, wrap it, Ctrl V to get rid of this space. So here I'm just going to put the style. So I'm going to say style, color, and red. So here we go. Here we have the goggle. So I know my colors are really thick than the normal goggle, but you can make it lighter if you choose to. So, and my font family is different from theirs, so we can go ahead, change, you can go ahead and look for their font family, but I won't be doing that for now. So this is how we use the span tag. So this is how we use the span tag. So it's just used to style a particular group of text. So I think with this exercise you'll be able to wrap your head around the span tag and the div. So see you in our next lecture.